Knowledge webinar. Take control of your CAD experience with DraftSight. Join our webinar with Technology Evangelist Lynn Allen to look at features, comparison, and customer stories of people using DraftSight. DraftSight has the productivity tools, functionality, and file compatibility you need to create, edit, view, and markup any 2D or 3D DWG file with speed and efficiency. You may know today's webinar presenter, Lynn Allen, because of her career with Autodesk. Lynn Allen spent over 20 years producing hundreds of AutoCAD video tips, writing countless articles for Cadalyst Magazine, and writing 3 AutoCAD books. As a technology evangelist, she stays on top of CAD trends and helps people move forward and embrace change. Throughout her tenure at Autodesk and now Dassault Systèmes, she has helped thousands of customers move from one software technology to another. Now let me show you where you can find DraftSight on the Novage page, on the Novage catalog. Novage is changing the way designers purchase 3D software, offering more choices, more freedom, best advice, and faster service. Check us out at novage.com. And as I mentioned before, today we have a special giveaway for webinar attendees. At the end of the session and before the Q&A, I will be announcing the lucky winner of a Space Mouse Compact. The 3D Space Mouse from 3D Connection is designed for advanced 3D navigation. Check out 3D Connection's line of 3D space mice, I guess, and products that make designing online so much better. And don't tell the space cats. I had to say that. But enough about me. I will share Lynn's screen so she can tell you everything about DraftSight. You're gonna love this.
Okay, well, and hey, I love the space mouse, 3D space mouse. So you guys better hold on to the very end because
Cool.
you all have a great chance of winning that. So that's nice. I don't often do webinars where they have giveaways, Barbara. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, you're lucky today.
Yeah, this is great. And I'm also super excited. I'm going to turn on my webcam. I think you guys can see me now.
Yeah.
I turned it off so I don't have to look at myself. So I just have to assume. Thanks for letting me acknowledging that, Barbara. I have done a bunch of webinars in my past with Novage when I worked for Autodesk. So I'm so excited to be doing it now with DraftSight. So welcome everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. And you, Barbara gave me a great introduction. Thanks so much for that. And many of you may know me from the land of AutoCAD. I have actually been using AutoCAD since release 1.4, which I jokingly say is back when dinosaurs roamed the earth. So it was a long, long time ago. And I was the face of AutoCAD for Autodesk for many, many years. I worked for them for almost 25 years, and I'm still a huge AutoCAD fan, which I'm sure some of you who are on the line today, maybe you're AutoCAD users. I totally get everybody's love for AutoCAD. I get it. I totally get it. And unfortunately, because of all my years with AutoCAD, I only know how to speak in AutoCAD terms. So as I talk about DraftSight, I do have a tendency to talk about it in AutoCAD terms. So bear with me as I do that. I can't help it, right? But you just know that basically all 2D CAD products are very, very similar. Lines, arcs, and circles, Cartesian coordinate system. They all have some type of layering system. You know, MicroStation used to call them levels. AutoCAD called them layers. We also call them in DraftSight layers. They're all very similar products. And I'm going to actually, in this presentation at some point, it's not going to be a big PowerPoint, death by PowerPoint presentation. You won't like that. I'm going to take you into DraftSight. I'm going to show it to you so you can see it for yourself and see if you can feel comfortable using it. It's a great product. I absolutely love it. And my objective, if we can get it to change, there we go, is to show you that DraftSight is a professional, it's a great product, professional design, documentation, and drawing solution that can definitely replace your current 2D CAD system. I was shocked, by the way, at how great and fabulous it is. It is amazing. When I was hired at Dassault Systèmes, I was not hired to do anything with DraftSight. It was just kind of the DraftSight product manager came to me and said, hey, I know that you used AutoCAD for a long time. You were known for your AutoCAD knowledge and whatnot, all the videos I did, all the books I did. and hey, why don't you try this DraftSight? And I was pretty reluctant, which I bet some of you may feel the same way, because I was like, you know, hey, there's no such thing as anything that could possibly replace AutoCAD. And but I did it anyway, and I was, as I said, shocked at how great DraftSight is and how comfortable I felt in a short period of time. And I know that you will too, and I'm going to show you why and what I'm talking about. So it might be a great solution for you. If, let's see if it's even a good fit for you though. You know, if it even sounds like something that you would want to make the move to. So you might be in a situation where you have network licenses. A lot of people have made the move over to DraftSight because they love their network licenses. So you might have, for example, you might work at a big company where maybe you have 50 people that need to have access to their CAD system, but they're only like casual users. They don't use it very frequently. And it would be very expensive to buy 50 CAD licenses, right? So consequently, you want a network license. Maybe you only want to buy a network license for 10 or 20 people, so that at any given time, only 10 or 20 people can access it, but that's fine because nobody's using it. People aren't using it all the time, right? So one great thing about DraftSight is they still support network licenses, you know, and NoVeg can definitely help you with that. And or a perpetual license, and you may not know what that means because it's a very software term, but that means that you own it. So you are like, I'm tired of paying every year for upgrades and for you know, or subscriptions or whatever. You might be one of those people that just love the good old days where you just buy it and you own it and you move on with your life. Now, you don't get any of the new features that keep getting added each year, and there's some pretty awesome features, but you don't care. You just want to buy it and own it because that makes you happy. You can still do that with DraftSight as well. So that might be something that makes DraftSight a great solution for you. Or maybe you're just not happy with whoever your current CAD company is, because there's all different types of 2D CAD out there, right? And maybe you're just ready for a change. Maybe you're just like, you know, I don't know. Let me see what else is out there. You're just curious. So, and you know, I will say that DraftSight has been created by the company that makes SolidWorks. Some of you might be familiar with SolidWorks. It's the #1 3D solid modeling product in the world. And it's a super, super friendly company, very customer focused, and people love them, let me just say. And maybe, yeah, you do need to be open-minded. If you're not open-minded at all, if you're just like, you're not willing to make a change, everything has to be exactly the way you're used to using it every single day from the beginning of time. If you're not open-minded at all, it's going to be so hard for you to make the switch. So you do need to be somewhat open-minded. And I wasn't particularly open-minded, but I survived, but I made the switch and I'm living the dream. So, but you do need to be open-minded, and you know, because it's not, if you do make the switch, it's not going to be exactly the same as the CAD product that you're using right now, right? That's impossible. That would be not right, right? So this is a different product. And you don't have time for a steep learning curve. I will tell you that, as I mentioned, most 2D CAD products are very, very similar and very, very much the same, and DraftSight, no exception. You will feel right at home in DraftSight right away. There is not a steep learning curve. It will only take you a few hours to get up and running and feel right at home. Lots of similarities, and I'm going to show that to you, so you know I'm not making it up. And you want to save money. That's, you know, probably the #1 reason people make the move over to DraftSight is when they see how inexpensive it is. And you almost might say to yourself, how could it be so great and be so inexpensive? Well, it is so great, and it will save you a lot of money, a lot of money. So it's true. I'll show it to you. You'll see. You don't have to charge $1 gazillion to have a great product, and you'll see why. So maybe you feel like this. I know that it's ironic that I had this job as a technology evangelist where I run around and I show people new technology and I try to help them move to that new technology. And yet I myself am not the queen of change. So maybe you feel the same way. For example, I was not excited about trying DraftSight until I tried it, and then I was excited about it. But at first I was like, no, 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 no. And maybe you're the same way, or maybe you have someone in the office who's the same way. You know, I used to say you can have for me it was AutoCAD. For you it might be something else, but for me I was like, you can have my AutoCAD when you pry it from my cold dead hands. So even I was willing to set it free and go, oh wait, there is another world out there. So, and maybe you have someone in the office who's like this, and maybe you're more open-minded, but we're gonna make you feel right at home in no time at all. So I totally hear where you're coming from, just so you know. I can identify with you. Some of you might know that book, Who Moved My Cheese. If you're resistant to change, you should read that book. I mean, I had like 3 different people who gave me that book, just so you know, in case you think I'm making this up. So let's take a look. So first impressions, I told you I'm going to jump into the product, and we're going to make you feel right at home. Let's see, what does it look like in there, Lynn, in case you haven't seen it. Because I don't know if you've even seen it. Maybe you guys are pros. Maybe you've already tried it. Maybe you've downloaded the trial, which I'm going to recommend later on. I'm going to say, don't listen to Lynn. Download it. You can download it for free. You don't need a credit card. You don't get, we don't charge automatically after 30 days when you forget to cancel. I hate that. Don't you hate that? You should try it yourself. And I'll talk about that again later on. I think everybody should jump in, try it for themselves, and see if I'm just making all this stuff up. So this is what DraftSight looks like when you open it up. I don't really have anything up my sleeve except for just a couple of things. This is a brand new drawing, obviously. Lower left-hand corner, I bolded the command prompt, and I also added in the word command, because I told you I don't like change. I wanted it to feel like the product that I knew really, really well. So I added in the word command. Otherwise, it's just a colon down there. You can make it say whatever you want. You could say, your wish is my command. You can make it say, hey, Lynn, what do you want me to do? You could just leave it as a colon. I don't like change, so I put command there. And also, let's see, what else did I do? Oh, so you can decide whether you want the ribbon to have a dark background or a light background. I have it set to a light background because it's just easier for me to do presentations and for you to see. So that choice is up to you. But I want you to know, when you pull up DraftSight for the first time, you'll be in a brand new drawing called No Name. Instead of drawing 1, drawing 2, drawing 3, drawing 4, right? It starts with No Name 0, which I knew immediately that DraftSight was cool because they named the brand new drawings after a rapper. That's right. There's a rapper named No Name. Look at that. It's a woman. So they must be cool. And then over on the right-hand side of the screen here, you will see, I got to move my controls. Let's see. Let me move them. I'm trying to move them. Don't make my life difficult. There we go. Okay. Sorry. When you're demoing a product and you have a webinar going on, sometimes the controls don't want to play nicely. So here I happen to have my tool palettes on the right-hand side of the screen. This is the default. Of course, they want to show you news. You'll see that when you have the default workspace, drafting and annotation, that's a similar name that you're familiar with, you get these tool palettes. You can close these. You can decide what you want to have on the screen. You're going to make your own workspace anyway, just like I have. But I want you to see what it's like when you open it up. I don't need this news, so I'm going to close it. You can keep it open and look at it if you want. And then, wait, what is this? Lynn, what is this? It says, this looks very mechanical focused. G-code generator. All right, so when I told you that originally SOLIDWORKS, right, created DraftSight. They did this for their own customers who needed a 2D drawing package. But then all of a sudden, people from all these other industries like AEC, and you may be in the AEC industry, discovered it and started using it. In fact, we actually have more AEC customers now than we have mechanical customers. So you'll probably start to see more AEC tools creeping into the product. I didn't tell you that. You didn't hear that from me, but there are a lot of mechanical tools. So if you're not mechanical, you'll just go, I don't need that. If you are mechanical, you might decide to keep that. In fact, you'll see up here in the ribbon, there's the mechanical tab too. You might go, I don't need that. And you can shut that baby off as well. 3D Content Central. What's that? That's just a place where you can find all types of content, 3D or 2D. And DraftSight does allow you the ability to create 3D drawings, just like your current CAD product probably also allows you to do. It's just that when I was using AutoCAD, was not a big fan of the 3D component. I much preferred using a true solid modeler like SOLIDWORKS, for example. So I would recommend moving to SOLIDWORKS if you decide to move to 3D, but you can do it inside of DraftSight if you want. But here's some great content, 3D and 2D. If you don't want it, close it. So Home by Me, I'm going to be talking about this baby later on. This is a fabulous free product. In fact, let me just switch over here so you can see some of the things that Free by Me can do. It is a great product. It's a free product that allows you, you can bring your floor plans in. I wonder if this is getting in, if you can't see, if there's a blank space because of the controls. I don't know what you see and what you don't see. But you bring your floor plans in, and then you can put all this different furniture in, and it's supported by all of the top vendors, as you can imagine, like IKEA and Pottery Barn and so on and so forth. I'll talk about that later on. Totally fabulous. As you can see, that's definitely not mechanically focused. And let's see what else we got. Oh, properties. Well, okay, I recognize that one and I might keep that one on there. By the way, this is, you know, set to stay open. You can also have it automatically fly out if you want, whatever you want, whatever you're used to. This is very, very similar. Okay, what else have I got on the screen? Let's go to a regular normal drawing and let's close this up. I don't think I'm gonna be playing with this anymore. Put that right about there. Good. All right, what else have we got on the screen? Let's see, other than my usual crosshairs, you can go to model space and paper space. That was in paper space. Let's go to model space so you can see my crosshairs a little bit better. And once again, you can adjust these any way that you want. And bottom of the screen, I do have my status bar, right? And I do have, as I mentioned, you have the tabs there, but I have my status bar. It looks a little light compared to what you might be used to. Although I would argue what you might be used to is probably a little overwhelming. Do I have the tools that I need? And do I have tools I'm familiar with? I don't want to have to learn a bunch of new stuff. I know you don't want to learn a bunch of new stuff. So let's see, what do we got down here? So the first tool down here, TB layers. What is that? I don't want that. It's new. I don't like it, right? And actually, you're going to love that. I'm going to talk about it later. So just file that one away. Okay, so far you're like uncomfortable because it's new. It's okay. You're going to love it. What else have we got down here? You will see snap. Okay, everybody knows what snap is. And you will see grid. All right, I'm feeling a little more comfortable. In ortho, everybody's got that. And polar. Okay, those are all tools that you're used to seeing on the status bar. Am I right? And did you see the function keys? Just so you'll know, the function keys also map exactly to what you're used to, which is fabulous. Now, what else have I got on here? I have eSnap. eSnap, what is that? So just so you know, inside of DraftSight, the objects are referred to as entities, which incidentally, in the old days of AutoCAD, the objects were referred to as entities, just so you know. And then somewhere along the line, AutoCAD decided we're not going to call them entities anymore, we're going to call them objects. So now they're objects inside of AutoCAD, inside of DraftSight, they're called entities. And I often like to refer to DraftSight, it's definitely not an identical twin to AutoCAD or any other CAD product. It's a fraternal twin, right? Similar, but not identical. And as somebody who used to work at Autodesk, it would not be right if it was identical anyway, since they have invested 40 years on the product, it would not be right to have it be identical. It would be terrible. That would not be cool. So then we have E-track. So instead of object track, we have entity track, right? Very similar. I think you get that. That's easy enough to work with. And we'll take a look at some of these tools in more detail. And dimension bounding box. What is that? That's not something I'm used to seeing. Well, you're going to wish you had that as well in your current CAD product. So we'll talk about that later. And so that one's different, a little uncomfortable. I'm not used to that. Q input is the same as dynamic input. You should be familiar with that. Dynamic CCS. So you are used to a coordinate system probably that's called the user coordinate system. Inside of DraftSight, it's called the custom coordinate system. And annotations, you're familiar with all of these, very similar. So it's different, it's not identical, but it should not drive you crazy. It should feel okay. We have the ribbon across the top of the screen, no big surprise here. We have workspaces. We have the quick access toolbar. I hope you guys are using that regardless of the CAD program that you're using. You should be customizing the heck out of that. You can do that in DraftSight. It's up there, easy to get to, put your favorite tools on there, right? And you can see we have, what do we got up here? We have a 3D modeling workspace. So in the CAD product you're used to using, there's probably two 3D workspaces. There's probably one for basics and then one for, I guess, advanced. There's just one here, which is nice. I don't know why there's two normally. There should just be one. And then classic, do you guys remember this? You might remember this. That's for those of you who loved toolbars and pull down menus. Remember the old pull down menus? Oh, you can still easily get to that inside of DraftSight. That was taken out of your existing CAD product probably, but it still exists here in case you want it. Makes it easy for you to get to them. Look at toolbars all around the screen, everywhere you could look for them. So just so you know, that's there in case you are old fashioned and you want that. And then of course I made my own workspace because that's what you're gonna do, where it's set up exactly the way you want it. I have properties over here, and I also have the layer manager, because I like to work with, not layer manager, sheet sets, because I love to work with sheet sets. So That's the way I have it set up. That's the way I roll. Now, if I take a look at the ribbon, because I like to use the ribbon, we're used to pulling down these panels, but if I click on them, nothing's happening. What does that mean, Lynn? Does that mean I'm missing a whole bunch of tools? Is this all the tools I have? Well, so we're used to pulling down panels. Inside of DraftSight, you're actually going to be dropping down the actual commands. You'll find the commands have been moved up into the base ribbon. So that's a little different. That might take you a little bit of time to get used to. Let's see, I got line, I've got, what have I got? I've got line, I've got infinite line, and those are X lines. That won't be hard to figure out. Ray, that's the same. Rich lines, what are those? So inside of your CAD product, it's probably M lines or multi-lines, which have never been my favorite command. Here, they did a really beautiful job with rich lines, which is, what are they? Those are, you know, being able to create multiple lines at the same time. And if you turn the corner, it will, you know, meter them off really nicely if that's what you want. And you create a style. So you decide how many lines you want to cross. Maybe you want a dash line in the middle there. Often these are used for walls or things like that. And the nice thing about DraftSight is that after you've placed these rich lines in the drawing, if you change the style after the fact, it will update the lines. I bet your current CAD product doesn't do that. So I love the way they implemented rich lines. They got it right inside of DraftSight, which, you know, is fabulous. Apparently I'm drawing lines. Let's undo that. I'm drawing, I don't even know it. All right, so what else we got going on here? If I drop this down, you will see polylines. I'm used to those. Rectangles, polygons, that's easy. Ring, what's a ring? Okay, this made me sad. inside of your CAD product, inside of AutoCAD, it was donuts. Who doesn't love the donut command? So I was really sad. And plus, how are you going to know to type in ring? And like I said, you shouldn't have to learn a whole new list of commands. Who has time for that? The good news is, as I like to say, DraftSight speaks AutoCAD. You can type in just about any AutoCAD command and it will automatically convert it for you. Can you see there? I typed in donut, it's going to execute the ring command. That's fabulous. So what other commands? Like for example, maybe you want to clean out your drawing with purge, which by the way, I never liked the name of that command. That's a pretty violent name for a command, you know, named after a very violent movie, even though the purge command came out before the movie. So can you see it executes the clean command, which makes more sense anyway. You're really cleaning out your drawing, making it all nice and pretty. So don't worry, you can type in an AutoCAD command, it will convert it for you. That's fabulous. That's a very common procedure in all 2D CAD products to try to make it easier for you to adjust. AutoCAD did the same thing for MicroStation users. They put in a whole bunch of MicroStation commands so that MicroStation users could easily go back and forth between AutoCAD and MicroStation. It's not uncommon for people to even have to use more than one CAD tool, right? So it's nice to be able to go back and forth and make it easy. Over time, you'll get used to the DraftSight commands and you won't need to do that. But until then, we don't have a lot of time to learn a bunch of new commands. Am I right? So you should be okay there. So there's plenty of DraftSight commands to get everything done that you need to get done. So I also like to talk about the third most frequently used command in just about any 2D CAD product. And do you know what that is? Well, first of all, do you know what the first one is? You sitting there thinking? It's undo, which is sad. But the third one is anything that has to do with layering. So I want to make sure that you feel comfortable. I want you to let's take a look at that. Because if you don't like the layer manager in DraftSight, you're not going to like DraftSight. So did they get it right or not? Let's look. So inside of DraftSight, it's called the layers manager. We won't charge you for that extra character, that little S. Let's take a look. So first off, when I went into the layers manager the first go around, I fell in love because they're grid lines and I was a math major. So I love grid lines, so easy to read. Everything is spaced out. I don't have to know what all the icons are because there's actually words, text, and I can read. So that made me really, really happy. Also love that. And you will see what you expect in your existing CAD product also lives here. We got layer states, we got filters. And the icons up here, these are the same, new VP, freeze, delete, but activate, Lynn, that's not the same. Where's my current layer? How do I set a current layer? So inside of DraftSight, it's activate, just so you know. And it's easy, click a layer, click activate, you're good to go. But you know, I'm lazy. I just double click on a layer anyway to make it the current layer. It actually makes more sense because technically all layers are current, right? They're all in your drawing. They currently are in your drawing. Activate, you're activating it. So that's the layer that we're drawing on. I think it makes more sense anyway. So very friendly, very easy, works the way you would expect it to work. So I like the layers manager in DraftSight. The only other thing I'm going to show you while I'm in here, I just want to show you what happens. Let me just pick something like that. If you select an object, you should know, oh, it went away. You should know, don't move. You should know that you get this little menu bar that allows you to do things like zoom to selection. If I do that, it's going to zoom in on my line. Let's click it again so I get the menu bar. You can quickly change the line type. You can change the line weight. You can go into Layer Manager really quickly. I don't know why I would do that over grabbing the layer. Man, here it says Layer Manager, by the way. It missed an S. Maybe they couldn't fit it in the box. And you can do things like take that object and move it to the current layer. You can take it and move it to any layer that another object is on. There's a bunch of very cool tools that you can use on that menu bar. If you don't like that menu bar, once again, you can turn it off. It's very, very friendly. All right, so let's go back over to our PowerPoint. I think that's enough for now. I think you get the general idea. Do you feel at home? Do you feel comfortable? I hope so. You should. It's pretty straightforward. And let me just give you some examples. You're used to object snaps. Look at the object snaps. You're all familiar with these. Inside a DraftSight, look at the entity snaps. Very, very similar. Fraternal twin, not identical twin, but very similar. So you should be comfortable and be able to feel at home no time at all. Oops, a little too fast. And then I also like to talk as a save as options, because one of the first things you worry about is, wait a minute, I need to make DWG files, or other people, am I going to be able to use my existing DWG files, other people's DWG files, and I need to send DWG files to people? Is this going to be a problem? Well, let me just show you an example. If you take a look at DraftSight, look at all the save as options. It actually saves all the way back to release 12. I'm not talking about 2012. I'm talking about release 12. And that was in the early 90s, like 91, maybe 92. I think 13 came out in 94, so probably 92. Now, if you take, I don't know who's got one of needs that, but if you do, that's an old drawing file. That's on a disk for sure. And if you take a look at AutoCAD, just for example, they only go back to release 14. So just to show you the integrity, they really have an intense data integrity, and you can save as you can save DXF files. You can save in both binary and ASCII. AutoCAD doesn't let you do that anymore. You can save shape files that allow you to make line types. There's so many different things that you can do from the save as options. So it is a very data integrity intense program. So you don't need to worry about that. All right, things are going to go back and forth swimmingly. You'll also find, so you can save money just by the software is much less expensive. Not cheaper though, just less expensive. It's fabulous. And you'll also see that it's much more lightweight. You know, I did mention that, you know, I'm not picking on AutoCAD because, as I said, it's a fabulous product, but it is almost, I think is it by now? It's just about turning 40. And it is a big program. It has a lot in it, you know, and the program's been around that long. And it takes 5 gigabytes is just the installer size, but you need to have 10 gigabytes on your disk, right, to install it. And LT is the same thing. Remember, LT is the same as AutoCAD. They just turn off some of the features. And it takes at least 8 gigabytes of RAM to run it, and really you should have 16. So if you take a look at DraftSight, much smaller amount of disk space. You just need 1 gigabyte of disk space. Much smaller amount of RAM. You do not, the reason I bring this up is because you don't need to have the hardware that you need to run other CAD programs, and that can also save you a lot of money. So if you have someone who's exclusively using 2D CAD, you can save a lot of money on hardware, and I think that's super, super important. In fact, I'm actually using a pretty serious computer right now. This is the one I have at home, but I have this little lightweight wannabe HP that I run around with when I travel, and I can run DraftSight on that too. You know, couldn't do that before, so that's pretty amazing. And you're going to be like this guy if you make the switch. It's an easy transition. And once again, I'm going to tell you not to trust me, but to download it and try it so that you can feel comfortable for yourself. It's one of the products that sells itself after you try it. That's why we always try to convince you to try it. You'll like it. There are a few tools that exist in DraftSight that you won't find in your existing CAD software, so I always like to talk about them. And I mentioned this one to you before, TB Layer. If you clicked on that little icon that was on the status bar, you can go into settings, do a right click, you can go into settings, and what does it do, Lynn? It allows you to set up layers per object, or layers per entity, if we're talking in DraftSight terms, right? So that I could say, hey, I want all my hatch patterns to go on this layer, I want all my dimensions to go on this layer, I want all my text to go on this layer, and how about this? I want all my viewports to go on this layer, right? So you can see them, but they don't print. You can set this all up ahead of time so that all this magic happens behind the scenes. So it doesn't change your current layer, but whenever you're drawing those objects, they automatically land on the right layer. You can set it up for every single entity object type inside of DraftSight. That is powerful, super, super powerful. How much time do you spend flipping from one current layer or activating one layer to another, right? This is really, really fabulous. I love this. I love this. Very cool tool. You can do some of that inside of your current CAD product, but it's all over the place. It's not easy to get to. It's not a one-stop shop, that's for sure. And then image tracer, this guy. So I didn't used to talk about this, but then I had a bunch of people tweeting to me, direct DMing me, whatever, fussing at me because I didn't. This allows you to take an image and bring it in to DraftSight, and it will convert it to vector, and it's super simple to do. Very low stress. Have you ever wanted to do that? You would love image tracer. Now, this was actually when I still worked at Autodesk, was like this tool that I had complete feature envy over, because you could go into power trim and just start trimming away. No cutting edges, no nothing, you just go. And you hold the shift key down and it extends. Now, since then, Autodesk has updated the trim command, so it does something very kind of similar to this, not quite as friendly, but similar. And so this isn't quite as exciting as it used to be, but I still like to talk about it because I love it so much. Power trim. Besides, I like the name. Power trim. Auto dimensions. So who doesn't want a tool where all you have to do is put a window around the objects that you need to dimension, and then all you have to do is tell it which side you want the dimensions to go. I've been dreaming about this and talking about this for a long time. Now, there are some great CAD tools out there for dimensioning, but this is by far my favorite. Super simple. You can pick what kind of dimensions you want. You have a lot of control over it. So you don't want to have to go in and fix them all, right? But it's pretty powerful. Auto dimension. That was that other little tool on the status bar where you pick the bounding box. Now, mouse gestures. Now, if you're a SOLIDWORKS user, you know what gestures are, and I did not, because I was not a SOLIDWORKS user till I moved to the current company. And I don't know how we live without this, honestly. Now I'm an addict, a total addict. So basically, you're just using your mouse, and the right button on your mouse, when you hold it down, it puts this wheel on the screen, and you can put commands on this wheel and just go. And you can put 4, in case you're not a good shot, or 8. I have 8 on mine. And of course, I immediately put power trim on there because, like I said, it was my favorite. But now I'd put some other tools on there that they've added in for sure, maybe image tracers, because I just think it's so cool. But you would basically want to put commands that you use all the time. So maybe image tracer wouldn't be something you would use all the time. But all those, anything you frequently use, put that on the as a mouse gesture. It's very easy to customize, and then you can just go, 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 because I'm all about being lazy and go, 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 go. So mouse gestures, very, very cool. You won't be able to live without it. This is one of those things that you probably won't think to try. So you have to try it. Try it, you'll like it. Again, super powerful. Now, one of the great things about the PDF tool inside of DraftSight is that it's batch processing, so you can do a whole bunch at one time, plus you can bring in multiple PDFs, multiple sheets at a time, and that is fantastic. And then I already talked about rich lines, about how I think that they just did a much better job inside of DraftSight. There's other tools that they did a better job at. I just don't have time to talk about them all. You'll see that too when you try it. You'll go, oh, I like the way they did this. Now the API. There's a very robust API. You can write some amazing programs to run on top of DraftSight, all different languages. but they do support Lisp. It's because I always get that question. I want to make sure that you know that. If you're an LT user, you know that it does not support Lisp. Even the least expensive DraftSight supports Lisp, which is wonderful. If you look through here, you can see that you're, well, first of all, if you did a bunch of customization, you want to make sure that you can bring it over to DraftSight, because if I told you no, you would cry, right? And that's, by the way, one of the things you're going to try when you download the free trial is you're going to try your customizations and make sure, I'm not making this up, once again, make sure they come across and that you're happy with how they come across. So Lisp routines, no problem. The menu systems, the CUIs, if you have an MNU, more power to you. Those do come across. Your custom line types, your custom hatch patterns, of course, your template files and fonts and so on and so forth. All of these come across, but I hope you, of course, you all saw that big no for the aliases, because they use the PGP file to do that mimicking of the commands, of the commands that you're used to. Like I showed you, purge equals clean, or ring equals donut, right? So they have that, they use the PGP file. They didn't want to risk the chance that maybe you had already created a command and have them overlap and smash the existing ones inside of DraftSight. So if you will have to update those yourself, if you have your favorite alias that you've added in, I'm not going to lie to you, you're going to have to redo those. Is that the end of the world? No, but it is a bit of an annoyance. So I like to call them as I see them, just so you know, you will have to do that. If you like customize the heck out of the PGP file, you're going to be very cranky about that. But you can still do it. It's not the end of the world. All right, I'm just going to show you a few things that were added in 2023, just because I can. Why not? Just a few, in case we have some existing DraftSight users on there. Selection cycling was added in. Some of you are familiar with this concept, being, you know, if you have a bunch of objects on top of each other, you're too lazy to zoom in, you can just, you can always just have selection cycling on and it will automatically show you the options that are underneath the cursor, or if you're an incredibly bad shot. So that's a new option. Annotation monitor. When I say this to existing AutoCAD users, you're like, what? So the annotation monitor is kind of interesting. If you have a bunch of dimensions that are no longer attached to the objects that they were supposed to be attached to, the annotation monitor will highlight them and let you know that, hey, this guy's kind of hanging out in the wind here, and make it very easy for you to reattach them. It's kind of interesting. That's if someone went in and messed up your drawing. If you have somebody who likes to go in and mess up your drawing, maybe they're explode happy or something, this will help you. That's good to know, right? And then they continue to add more and more contextual ribbons. That's important. When I go to do hatching, I want to make sure that all of the hatch commands pop up. If I'm drawing text, I want text options to show up. So you'll see more and more of those being added into the current release of the product. And then I just like this one. There's more, by the way. These I just threw in a couple. I like this one a lot. I told you about Home by Me. Once again, free product, very cool free product that you can actually now, you can have your designs from inside of DraftSight, your floor plans, and it makes it really easy to get those into Home by Me. And then you can drag and drop furniture from, this is just a few of the companies that it supports, and you could very quickly see what your kitchen's going to look like, your living room is going to look like, or whatever, and take a look and move things around. And you know, then everybody will know what they're getting before they decide to buy the furniture and place the furniture. Or with the kitchen, even more important, right? You don't make mistakes and do things terribly wrong. But I really love this. And then you can even bring it back into DraftSight if you want to. It's pretty powerful and fun. And then I always like to say this, you know, when you make if you decide to move to a different CAD product, you always want to go to one that you know is going to be around, and that you know is not, the rug's not going to be pulled out from under you. If you make that change, you spend the time, the effort to learn another program and to make that shift, you want to make sure that it's going to be there for the next 5, 10, 15, 25, or forever years, right? So we have millions of DraftSight users. And I like to say that millions of DraftSight users cannot be wrong. And there's power in number. Plus, I can tell you that at SolidWorks, DraftSight is a fan favorite. It has a great product team, and we're always trying to figure out what new commands we can put in that are going to make the users happy. And it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And that's super important. So I do think there's power in numbers. So I believe that you can use DraftSight for your CAD needs. It is a very powerful 2D CAD product. It has a lot of great functionality. You don't have to change your existing workflows. You're going to see that you can do exactly what you did before, but now you're just doing it in a different product. It's an easy transition. You know, to me, the most important thing is you'll have more money that you can spend on other things. And it's also very scalable because we do have the network licenses. We do have cloud opportunities as well, where you can store your data up on the cloud if you want. There's a lot of forward thinking involved with the world of DraftSight. So which DraftSight product is right for you? There's a few. I don't want you to be confused. So at the low end, $249 a year, piece of cake, right? The price of a few lattes a month, as I like to say. Well, I get a lot of lattes though. It's my daily thing is to go to Starbucks almost and walk my dog. But almost, you know, all the main tools are in DraftSight Professional. No 3D, no 2D constraints, and a couple of the newer tools are not in the product, but almost everything else is. Lisp is in there, as I mentioned, the API is in there, all the customizing is in there, and you know, 90% of the product of what you get is inside of DraftSight Professional. Now, if you need 3D, and if you are really into constraints, along with a few other features, then you are going to want to spend the extra money and go to DraftSight Premium. All right, that's obviously more money. And then if you are interested in network licensing or perpetual licensing, or you want additional help, then definitely, you know, pick up the phone, contact NoVeg, and they will walk you through that pricing structure. I can't list this on here. We don't know how many licenses you want, and they're going to ask you a bunch of questions. But all of these you can get from NoVeg. All right, contact them. We're so excited to be working with them. They're going to give you the best price. And plus I know that they're happy to support you. So here it is. Go to draftsight.com. You can do / we used to have to say that, by the way. That's why I'm old fashioned. I still say / because backslash used to mean something else. Free trial. I got to stop doing that. And you can download it and try it, and do it when you have time though. Don't just do it today if you don't have time. If you're working on a big project, when you have time in between projects and you know you can dedicate at least a few hours to trying it, you don't have to dedicate weeks, just at least, you know, a day or two would be great so you can really try things out, as I mentioned, so you can see for yourself. Because one thing I will say is we like happy customers. We don't want you to make the switch and be unhappy. That's no bueno. We like happy customers. So we don't want you to spend the money and not be happy with your purchasing decision. We like happy people. Here's my email if you have additional questions. I'm going to take some questions now, just so you know. Barbara's going to help me with that. And then, but really the best thing to do is to contact NoVeg, and here's their email as well. And I'm sure they'll be reaching out to you afterwards as well. But so Barbara, I'm going to invite you to come back here.
Hi, Lynn. What a show! You know, your webinars are always the most entertaining,
Well,
hands
thank
down.
you.
You're so plugged into not just CAD, but pop culture. I love it.
Pop culture, no name.
No name.
Now we all know that No Name. Now you're all cool. Now you all know that No Name is a rapper.
And I thank you for that.
We won't charge you any extra for that.
I want to give some time to our attendees to type down their questions, and I'm going to announce the winner of the Space Mouse Compact, Glenn Vanderbilt. You're the winner. Hopefully you gave us the correct email, not just, you know, a made-up one. So I'll reach out to you, and then you can give us your physical address, so we can ship you the Space Mouse Compact right away, and you can enjoy the Space Mouse. And if you download the DraftSight, you can join them together. What a combo.
Can you say the name again? What was the name again?
Glenn Vanderbilt.
Ooh, all right. That's exciting. Congratulations, Glenn.
Okay, Glenn is here, and great, Glenn. I'm so excited for you. Enjoy the products, and you'll hear from me soon. So if you have any questions, this is the best time to type them in while Lynn is here. If you don't, because like me, you're speechless, or you have, you know, you received all the information about DraftSight, then Lynn, you know, congratulations. You really provided no further, you know, you didn't leave any corner unturned. So
they're just a quiet group.
So it's also good. So while I'm still monitoring the Q&A tab, I would like to take back the screen and show you, first of all, where you can find DraftSight on the Novage page. So you can find professional, you can find enterprise, and you can find our phone number on every page. So you have no excuses. Any doubt, I know change is difficult, but you don't have to be doing this all alone. We can really assist you and making sure you get the right configuration, the right number of licenses, and no mistakes there. But we have a question. Does this package work with point clouds?
Oh, that's a good question. I would assume that the 3D one does. The premium should. That's a good question, though. I need to check that. Good question.
Okay.
I should know the
So,
answer. I apologize for that. But no one's asked that before, and I haven't tried it. It should,
cool.
but I don't want to say it does if it doesn't. So let me check.
Okay.
I'm gonna go
So
look now.
yeah. Well, Lynn is checking. I also want to remind you that Novage is changing the way designers purchase 3D software. How so? Well, first of all, we offer a lot of choices and the freedom to assemble your perfect CAD portfolios. And if you want, we're there on the phone every day. And yeah, you can ask us anything.
Well, I do see point cloud commands, so that's a good step in the right
It's a
direction.
good sign.
That is a very good sign. So I'm gonna go with yes.
Okay, good. Thanks, Richard, for this
Yeah,
question.
good question. No one has
Yeah,
asked me
right.
that yet.
Fantastic. So, if there's no more question, Lynn, I would like to thank you for today's wonderful presentation
Oh, my pleasure.
and
Thanks for inviting
invite
me.
everybody to download DraftSight and then to come back to Novage and let us help you with this change. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great rest of the day and till the next time, Lynn.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Bye bye, everybody.